This is in direct response to the Aki TV video. It's a recent video. I don't know how recent, but he was talking about Shakur being a boogeyman because Pitbull don't want to fight him, because the Pater don't want to fight him, because Frank Martin don't want to fight him. But then he went on and said Tank don't want to fight him. That Tank was avoiding him. And that's the kind of talk that would trigger a guy like me, because you're supposed to know boxing. You're supposed to know the business of boxing. How can you say something so fucking stupid? Like, if you say, and he's mentioned before how Tank is avoiding Devin Haney. How can you say something so fucking dumb? People know, they think actually that, oh, it's up to the fighters. If the fighters really want it, it's going to happen. No, the fuck it's not. No, the fuck it's not. The fighter has to convince them and convince his promoter why he's going to break bread with another network. That means I got to pay the network. I got to pay the staff of the network. I got to pay myself. I got to pay your ass. And then they're going to have to do the same thing on their end. And we're all collabing on one event between two fighters that are not making no money like that. They're not going to do that. The fighter, if it's up to the fighter, he's the one that's going to have to put up the bread for the venue, for the advertising, for paying the fighters, all that and more. Fighters ain't doing that shit. So the promoter has to do that shit through whatever funds he has access to, and he has to be responsible with. And he's not about to just go fucking it off because you want to just have some kind of fight that you think that the fans are, clamoring for, but your numbers don't show that you're going to bring in those kind of numbers, because those fans, they stream, they cheat, they steal fights. Like, you got to have a cult personality almost to a point where fans are buying your fights to support you. They don't give a damn. You got to have that kind of cult of personality. There are people who are buying Terrence Crawford fights regardless of who he fights. They're buying it. Same with Spence. Same with Tank. Same with, Mayweather. Or, right now you have Canelo. People who are going to buy their fight. It don't matter who he's fighting. Ryder, Caleb Smith, any fucking body he fights, they're going to buy that fight because it's Canelo. You don't have that kind of clout. So you can't even demand that kind of fight. So saying that Tank avoided anybody is just showing ignorance of the business. All of these guys avoided Tank. All of them. Yeah, I said all of them. Devin Haney included. Devin Haney knows damn well that no fight between him and Tank was going to happen unless he took his ass over to Showtime. How do I know that? Because if he wanted to get a title fight and be undisputed, what did he do?
I did the same thing to become undisputed. I took less. I took 22%. Not once, but twice, and had to go to another network, and had to go to Australia. And I was champion.
He hopped his ass up out of the zone, went over to ESPN, took 22%, not the 25% that he was even offering Shakur, and I'm going to get into that. He took 22%, twice. That means as a champion, he was taking a lesser cut. Then he flew over to Australia, the end of the earth, and went and fought away from his home twice. He could do all that when all he had to do was go over to Showtime and make the most money he did in his career. He didn't do that. That's a duck. But you leave it up to the casual fans, they will say, oh, because Devin uttered out of his mouth that he wanted to fight Tank, and Tank didn't say anything back, that Tank is ducking or Tank is avoiding. No. I'm not calling you guys out as Tank. I'm not calling you guys out because it's not gonna fucking happen. Y'all niggas ain't over here. I'm not fighting on ESPN. I'm not fighting on DAZN, man. It's not happening. You gotta come to Showtime, baby. You gotta come to where I rack up the PPV numbers. I bring in the numbers that show, hey man, investor, if you make this fight happen, you're gonna make this amount of money. How do I know? Look at my numbers. Can Devin say that? No. Can Loma say that? No. Can Shakur say that? Hell no. Shakur's fighting on a Thursday. So you saying that these guys, that Tank avoided these guys, come on, man, it's not making any sense. You got to make it make sense. They want to go with the narrative of, oh, when Tank was going to fight Loma, he was like, I'm not ready, or whatever the case. He wasn't ready to fight motherfucking the first title. He wasn't ready to fight him. You know, I don't know why his name is leaving me right now. But Pedraza, he was not ready to fight him. He beat his ass, knocked him out in 7. He didn't even make it to the championship rounds. So it didn't even matter whether he said he was ready, whether he's not ready. They're going to make the fight happen if the money is right. It's Bob Arum that does not want to do business. And Bob Arum knows damn well he's going to have to take a lesser cut because he can't really, at that time, it should have been, actually not even a lesser cut, it should have been pretty much even. But of course, I know Bob was trying to lowball these guys because, you know, Loma was the 4-time or 2-time Olympian, 2-time gold medalist, and he just felt like, oh, my guy's more accomplished. I should get more money. And I'm sure negotiations went down because of that. It didn't go down because Tank didn't want to fight. Tank wanting to fight or not wanting to fight doesn't even fucking matter. He's a worker. These guys are workers. They work for the promoter who puts them in these fights. Unless you're a boss for real, like a Mayweather, you're not really doing nothing. You're not really controlling anything. Right? So, Shakur, right now, has to fight Dos Santos. Yes. He's being avoided by a lot of other fighters. Yes. But don't put Tank's name in that list. Because after he fights Dos Santos, all this big boy talk that he's doing, which, you know, it sounds believable. His contract is up with ESPN. What is he going to do? Is he going to go over to Showtime and make that fight happen? Or is he going to re-up with ESPN and keep barking behind that fence? That's what I want to know. That's my odd take.